We have here a 2003 Golf with a 2-liter and an 01M transmission, and the customer's complaint is the speedometer jumps around quite a bit. And I've road tested the car. I made a last-minute decision here to make a quick video of it, and I'll get a video of the speedometer, and then I'll get a video of the graph I'm taking on VAGCOM, and we'll make a diagnosis on this car. Sorry about the glare here, but we are going to scan the instrument cluster since the problem is with the speedometer on the instrument cluster. Scanning the transmission module wouldn't do us no good. And measuring blocks. And I'll just scroll up here till I find the one I'm after. And it's number 1. So there's that right there. I'm going to click the graph button. And we'll watch how much it fluctuates. So on this graph, we're looking at the speedometer signal coming from the speed sensor, because obviously this could be a bad instrument cluster. Whoa, I can see my reflection. But if the signal is fluctuating, then you'll see the signal fluctuating on the graph in VAGCOM. You can see there we're graphing vehicle speed there in kilometers per hour, and the red line is the one we're looking at. It's at 0, so you can't see it right now because it's on the bottom of the graph. I hope you can hear the RPM of the engine, but I'm accelerating and probably doing 25 mile an hour or so. And you can see the up and down fluctuation. I'm going pretty steady, and it's fluctuating up and down, and the needle's doing the same thing. It's going up and down. I'm pretty steady on the throttle here and going at pretty steady speed, but it's jumping up between like 27 and 25, and that's not normal. These things are usually pretty darn steady. And so I'm going to accelerate hard, and notice it's not going up. I'm going much faster, maybe 40 mile an hour by now. I've got to slow down, there's some people in front of me. But this speed sensor doesn't want to show anything above like 35 mile per hour. It's showing 38 kilometers per hour, but I'm not going very fast right now. So, and this does have a ABS light on, and it does have a trouble code for the right front wheel speed sensor. It's entirely possible that could be due to the speedometer problem, because the ABS computer knows what the instrument cluster sees. You know, they communicate on a data bus network, so most likely there's comparisons being made between the vehicle speed sensor and the ABS wheel speed sensors. But usually if there's just one trouble code, that's just for a bad sensor back there. I really don't expect this repair to take care of that ABS wheel speed sensor trouble code. Most likely it needs this repair and the wheel speed sensor. Alright, rotate the wheel. Slow down just a little. Stop. Back up a little. Okay, very obviously there's a break in that gear right there. Go forward just a little bit more. Yeah, and then back up. Alright, so we have a broken speedometer gear inside the differential. Bad news for this customer. Well, we've got this Golf apart with the speedometer problem. I kind of wanted to video some of it, but just time deadlines and customer pressure is just making us have to move faster than I can do when I'm videoing. So this is what it takes to get the differential out of the transmission. You have to pull the K-member out. Rack and pinion's in the way. So you have to remove the engine mount and lower the car some. The engine needs to move forward also, and the engine won't move forward unless you remove the exhaust pipe from the flange there. And then you pull the parts out of the differential here. Now, in order to get these parts out, in order to get this axle out, you have to have a press, and the type of press to push these inside in the transmission in order to get these clips out of it. And then after that, in order to get these bearing adjusters out, you have to have this special tool here. That's the number of the tool in case somebody wants to run out and buy one to do this repair. It's 3155. There it is. And you have to kind of know what you're doing, because these have to be adjusted just right to give the correct preload on the bearings. Marking them and adjusting them exactly the way they came apart is probably an acceptable method. And let's go look and see what we have over on the bench. Here's our differential. And as you can see, the speedometer gear just rotates on it. That should be solid. You got to try and get this bearing off without destroying it. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that or not. The brake in the gear is very visible here with it on the bench, but I think I showed you that on the boroscope. There's the brake in the gear. And I'll show you the parts here in just a second. So here's our parts. Speedometer gear. And this ball, this is the thrust washer for the spider gears, and you can see the discoloration. It turns black. They start to break up over time, so I figure I'd change it while it's here. Makes a real pain in the ass to get the pin out. Sometimes you have to drill it, sometimes they come right out, but here's the pin. There's the number for the pin. So there's the new thrust washer. It's a different material. Hopefully that means it's better suited, lasts longer. Just wanted to show the technique for removing this roll pin from the differential. I have the differential sitting in my vise here on my junk bench, and you put a pin punch inside it to keep it from breaking, and just give it a little drive in there. Don't wedge it in there real hard. Then you put a screwdriver in this groove right here, and if you're lucky, you can tap it out. Sometimes it breaks and you have to drill it out, but usually you can get it out as long as you keep this pin punch in there. And that means when you install this roll pin, you should put it with the groove this direction, and it just broke. I'm going in here to test drive this Golf, and we're going to drive it, see if the speedometer's fixed. And it really looks like this thing is fixed. Nice and stable speedometer. Well, we finished up this Golf with a speedometer problem, replaced the differential speedometer gear. It's very labor intensive, fairly expensive for the customer. I just didn't have time to video it as a how-to. I feel like there's special tools, equipment, and knowledge that you need to have in order to do that repair. So I think you'd be getting yourself into trouble if you tried it, unless you're a real top-notch do-it-yourselfer. The funny thing about it is I have another vehicle that's doing it also, my own personal vehicle. So maybe I can make a how-to on that one, but we did get it done. The problem is fixed, and it's a nice driving car again. Cruise control works. So if you like this diagnosis video, give me a like and subscribe. Visit my website at www kansascitytdi.com. There's a tree in the way.